Hi everyone, I'm Gail Kessler from Ladyfingers Sewing Studio, and I'm here today to share with you my latest creation using two of my very favorite quilty things, Accuquilt, the Accuquilt cutting system, and my line of Dimples fabrics with Andover fabrics. The quilt you see today is featuring one of Accuquilt's latest block on board blocks, or bobs, called the Lotus die. And you can see here that there are a number of different dimple colors. That is my line of blender fabrics with Andover in two different colorways. Dimples comes in actually 100 colors, and I'll show them to you here. And you can see we have everything from neutrals to very darks, red, orange, yellow, greens, browns, every color of the rainbow, including a number of pastel colors you can see on the right-hand side. These fabrics have been in the line for absolutely decades and is one of the longest-running blender fabrics in the industry, and for good reason, because these colors and this texture goes with just about everything under the sun. So I've featured about 12 different colors here in this quilt, and I'll show you how I colored it. We have two different block colorations. There are 12 of each color in the quilt, so there's 24 blocks in the entire quilt. The first coloration is done in what I call the Ladyfingers Accuquilt Club colors, which is a bright hot pink and orange with a lime green, teals, and the citron color that you see here. What we like to refer to as the Magic Lotus Midnight Garden or Midnight Magic block is done in two shades of purple, a red violet and more of a true purple, along with the same lime green, the same citron, the darker of the two teals. And then tying everything together is one anchor fabric that is baronet blue. It's blue, it's purple, depending on what you put with it, and somehow it makes a great accent for the entire quilt that you see here. I liked it so much that I used it to base all of the quilt blocks, the same color, and then it just made sense to use it in the piped or the flanged binding that I used. And to know how to do this, just follow along on Erica and Pam's video on the Accuquilt YouTube channel, and you'll see just how to cut and sew, well, maybe not sew it, but at least how to cut the flange binding. And then I have videos coming up on how to sew it so that you get a nice finished edge on both sides. Isn't that cool? Alrighty, so let's talk a little bit about how we cut out these blocks and how we sewed them together. Now, time does not allow me to go into great detail here in this quick introductory video, but if you sign up for our Ladyfingers Accuquilt Facebook page and our YouTube channel, you'll see lots of videos on the how-to, all the little nuances and the little things that made the Lotus block even easier to sew. One of the many things I like about doing a block on board or bob die like the Lotus block is that all of the shapes that you need for a given block are all on one die. And let me show you this. I'll bring it over. Okay, so here is the bob die for the Lotus. And you can see that the die shapes are separated a little bit, and that's for good reason. You can load up all the background fabrics on this side to do the background colors that you see in the quilt. I have, or not this part, but this part in the blocks. And if you may or may not be able to see this on camera, but I actually used 3 different background colors in this quilt. It's not white, it could be white, but I chose to use a light blue, a light teal, and then the setting triangles are done in a light purple. For the blocks, the flower shapes are all up here. The leaf fabrics are all here, and the background fabrics for the block are all over here. Since I thought that the layout of the colors that Accuquilt chose for their cover was quite nice, I followed along pretty much the same deal. I made my flowers the same, you know, colors here and here, 2 different colors here and here, 2 different colors here and here for the flowers because I thought that looked really pretty. But I did switch up the greens. I didn't make the greens all the same. So there I would have to pay attention and make an adjustment to my cutting chart, which I did. The nice thing about Accuquilt, one of the greatest things I really love about Accuquilt is you can take a concept and run with it. So I made adjustments to this bob die. So I'm going to call it Beyond the Bob. In my quilt, I chose to, first of all, change the bottom of the block here. This is the bottom of this block, this is the bottom of this block. And what I realized is that here and here, there's a square and 2 triangles on the die board. Let me show it to you. Actually, maybe Bill can just zoom in on the page here. But you can see, if he can get in there a little bit, that we're using 2 triangles and a square to form one large triangle. Now that's great, especially if you're shading those 2 triangle units differently. But since they're all the same fabric, for me and my time and my fabric use, I decided to make this one shape. And luckily, of course, Accuquilt has a die for that. And the secret sauce is on our Ladyfingers Club Facebook page, what die that is. It comes from a cube, and it worked perfectly so that I didn't have to sew 1, 2, 3, 4 more seams for every block. Times 24, that's 96 more seams that I didn't have to sew because I figured out how to sub out that block. Isn't that great? The other thing that I changed about the block is you can see that there is space between the blocks here and here and here and here. And that's because of the way I designed this quilt in Electroquilt. I design all my quilts in Electroquilt software. I'm an Electroquilt artist, and so I've been using the software for quite a long time. By using the 1.5-inch strip die on 2 sides of the lotus block, I've now created a 12-inch lotus block. Isn't that great? And it gave the quilt the space that I wanted to show off Sharon Gower's long arm charm of Effort, Pennsylvania. She quilted the quilt for me beautifully to show off her quilting. And I think she did it perfectly, and I love it. But this gave the space that I needed. So see, again, you can take a 10-inch block and turn it into a 12-inch block, just like that. So for more tips and tricks and to find out more secrets to this quilt, be sure to sign up for the Ladyfingers newsletter. Go to ladyfingerssewing.com. Sign up for our Ladyfingers Accuquilt Club Facebook page and follow us Ladyfingers Sewing on our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching.